Alright, I get it. You've probably seen like 10 of these videos now. A little bit ago, it was announced that Gerstlauer was building a massive project in the US, yada yada yada. I'm not gonna waste your time on this shit. Basically, there's a big-ass Gerstlauer Infinity Coaster going to Cedar Point. How do we know it's Cedar Point? Well, I'm glad you asked. IMScore is working with them for 2022. Cedar Point is kind of overdue for a coaster, just kind of, but it's Cedar Point. Cedar Point is landlocked, so it would be the quote-unquote challenging location. Cedar Point likes records. Cedar Fair just installed a Gerstlauer Infinity Coaster at Knott. CP's 50th just passed. Need I say more? I'm actually glad this is what we're getting and not one of those inverting GCIs like was rumored for a while, because this is way more exciting. This is obviously going to be Infinity Coaster. All of Gerstlauer's massive projects are, unless they create like a whole new concept. And in the States, for some reason, we just get the shittiest Gerstlauer coasters for absolutely no reason. Like in Europe, you got the friggin' Smiler, Carnan, Carajo, and we have Hang Time. Oh boy. But yeah, this is going to CP. A lot of other people have made pretty weak arguments for maybe Dollywood or Kentucky Kingdom, but like, Kentucky Kingdom doesn't need a Eurofighter. I don't even know if it would fit the height limit. And Dollywood literally just refurbished a Gerstlauer. They're not going to overshadow that with a big, record-breaking, one-of-a-kind coaster that works in the terrain. So yeah, it's Cedar Point. I was actually getting a little excited at first because I thought maybe it would go to Six Flags New England because they got rid of Goliath and they need a coaster to fill it in. And that would certainly check the tight space box. But then I realized Six Flags doesn't work with Gerstlauer. So yeah, it's Cedar Point. I've said this like 6 times now. But what could this ride actually look like? What could this unique record breaker really be? People spend a lot of time on the where, but no one talks about the what. First of all, it's at CP, so you know they're balling out or they're going home. I think there's 2 routes they could go here. Either the inversion record or just big. I'm thinking it's going to be the inversion record. As cool as it would be to see American Carnan, I just don't think that's what we're getting. Look at the wording of the document. First of all, it straight up says it's a record breaker. So this is either going to be super tall or inversions. I doubt they'd go for the steepness record because they just added 2 90-degree drop coasters. Plus, no one really cares about the steepest coaster in the world. But the other thing the document says that leads me to believe that this inversion is how it's going to be a showcase attraction around the world. I think Smiler is much better known than Carnan. Even though Carnan is a better ride because it had the accident, but also, more importantly, it has a record, which makes it a showcase attraction. On a side note, though, this would be the first time Cedar Point would get a record and, like, wouldn't immediately get gypped out of it. Like, they did the tallest coaster twice, and immediately there were bigger versions with Caw and Steel Dragon. They did the biggest dive coaster, boom, Yukon Striker. I guess they kind of did that to themselves. Biggest hybrid coaster, boom, Zadra. Goddamn, Cedar Point really just can't catch a break. But I think if they top the Smiler record, they'd have that for quite a while. 14 inversions as it is kind of nuts, and it's a lot for a park to just break even with that. Now you're saying you're gonna exceed it? That's something only Cedar Point has the balls to do. Now, as cool as it would be to have a coaster with inversion record with a variety of unique elements like sea serpent rolls and banana rolls and friggin' sidewinders and stuff, in reality, it's probably gonna be like the Smiler where it's a lot of dive loops. Dive loops are just very convenient for a ride like this. You can put a lot of them back to back, and if you're working in a tough plot of land, a dive loop allows you to turn around without taking up like any space. Sure, they're not the most fun, but if you're going for the record, you gotta do what you gotta do. Maybe they'll spice it up with an Immelman if we're lucky. I think though, if we get one unique inversion, maybe it would be a 0G stall. Those seems to be all the rage right now. They're popping up everywhere, and CP doesn't really have one. I mean, technically they do, but I'm talking a full-fledged one where you're chilling upside down for 2 to 3 seconds, not this downward snake dive thingy. But Gerstlauer hasn't done one of those, so I wouldn't be surprised if they didn't have one. In the meantime though, I do want to talk about the ride theme. Cedar Point actually has some pretty good themes in their coasters. They also have some very bad themes on their coasters, like fucking Gatekeeper themed to gates, I guess. I think there's a lot they could do with this theme. I mean, just look at the Smiler. There's a friggin' masterpiece of the theme. I just hope they don't go for some cheap cop-out answer of putting it on the boardwalk and saying, oh, look at it, it's the loop-de-loop coaster, the loop-de-loop 2000 or something like that. But that's more of a Six Flags thing, not a Cedar Fair. I'm not really worried too much about the theme because they've been working on themes a lot recently, and I'm sure this one will be great. The other thing you don't care about that I'm going to talk about is the colors. Please, for the love of God, do not do a red color scheme. Cedar Point already has so many. Maverick, Dragster, Valraven, Steve, Magnum, Iron Dragon. Just please, something original. And not blue either. Blue isn't that far behind. What about a nice hot pink? That would actually be hilarious. Also, please don't do black. I don't want another hairball looking coaster like the Smiler. As for where this could go at CP, they're gonna have to remove something to put this in. They lucked out with Steve being a redo of something else, but now I think they're gonna have to bite the bullet for something else for this to come. And sadly, I think that ride is going to be Gemini. So many people don't want this coaster to go. And they've thrown up random options like Wicked Twister, a Corkscrew, or a freaking Magnum XL 200. Magnum XL 200. Who the fuck thought they would get rid of the world's first hypercoaster before an old racing Woody. Gemini was already supposed to be gone with Dragster, and honestly, it doesn't really fit the park lineup anymore. I guess it's a racing coaster, but most of the time you're racing, it isn't doing anything very exciting. The one pro people always say it has is it has great airtime, but you seem to forget the park that this is in. The park that this is in also has this, and this. I don't think they have a lack of airtime. Takes up a huge plot of land, and like I said, they were originally going to scrap it when building Dragster, but Intamin said they could shorten the launch track so Gemini could live. But it's been living on borrowed time, so I think it's time to kick the bucket. Just let it go, guys. Now, the last thing I want to talk about is what this could mean for us going forward. We don't really see a whole lot of Gerstlauers in the US. I don't know why, but when we do, it's usually at a boardwalk or some independent park. Maybe Hershon will buy one every once in a while, but Six Flags and Cedar Fair used to both stay away from Gerstlauer. That wasn't until hang time, and I'm going to be honest, I was a little skeptical at first. I thought this might be just a one-off deal, a fluke in the system, because the very next year, they went back to a B&M and another one-off deal, and then the year after that, they only had one B&M. So I thought it was done. I think it's pretty reasonable to think after a 3-year gap, they're done working with them. Like, ain't nobody thinks Six Flags is going to work with Skyline again, and that was 2018 also. But now that Cedar Fair has opened the door with Gerstlauer again, this could possibly mean we'll get more in the US. Like, maybe King's Dominion will get that Gerstlauer Infinity Coaster that it needs, or maybe a park like Worlds of Fun. I could see a hang-time style Eurofighter fitting very nicely there. I'm really excited to see what will come with this relationship going forward, because who knows? Maybe we'll get American Garden at Kings Island in the Vortex spot. The point is, I'm super excited to see what both of these companies can cook up together, because they just have so much potential. Thanks for watching.